Authorpreneur Summit around her book, Authorpreneur Secrets. Write fast, publish affordably, and generate lasting income. As an Amazon best-selling author of 21 books, she has coached several Caribbean authors to become Amazon best-selling authors. Her mission is to raise up 10,000 winning Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030, to ensure fewer books die in the minds of their authors, that more manuscripts become published legacies, and precious lives are transformed with the turn of every page.
If books are not selling as we expect them to, based on the statistics we're going to be looking at this evening, is it worth publishing? And if only a few authors are selling many books, how are the rest of us going to make a living with books? Should we continue to publish? I am going to be exploring this evening the article that was written about 10 awful truths about publishing. And I'm going to be sharing some solutions to low book sales, and you don't want to miss that. My name is Kamika Ruth Taylor. Welcome to Authorpreneur Secrets Live. This is the masterclass that we give you the roadmap to make a living with books, especially beyond book sales. All right. So if you have been hanging with us, I want to invite you to share the episodes with your friends and to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more inspiration and tips to win with books beyond book sales and create sustainable income. All right. All right, so let's get into it. There will be a lot of statistics this evening. I know many times as authors, we're not mathematicians, and the numbers is not our thing. And so bear with me while we get into the numbers, because we want the facts and figures to see where we really are at. So I'm going to look at some worldwide book statistics, what's happening in the US, which is very often the largest self-publishing market or book market. For many of us, especially in the Caribbean, that's where a lot of our book sales will come from. And I am going to break things down and, as I said, offer some solutions. So I have my slides with me. All right. So in this article, 10 awful truths about book publishing, Stephen Piersanti, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, senior editor of Berrett-Koehler Publishers, in March 2023, published these findings, all right, about the number of books being published every year, that has exploded. He said that the marketplace has become oversaturated, that the book marketplace has hardly grown in the past 20 years, despite the explosion of books, that the average book sales are shockingly small and falling fast, that a book has far less than 1% chance of being stocked in a particular bookstore, that it's getting harder and harder every year to sell new titles, and that most books today are selling only to the authors and publishers communities, that most book marketing today is done by the authors, not by publishers, and that no other industry has so many new product introductions, and that the book publishing world is in a never-ending state of change. And he wasn't just talking about independent publishing or self-publishing. He was talking about the state of the book industry in general. And out of that, I really want to examine primarily the matter of book sales. As a new author, because a lot of the authors I work with are new authors, as an aspiring author, And you come into this very often with big expectations that you're going to be the next Shakespeare or the next Noah Roberts or the next Stephen King. You name the big name authors out there, the next C.D. Jakes or Joyce Meyer or John Maxwell, that your books are going to come off, flying off the shelf, and you're going to gain financial freedom real fast by selling books, because for a long time, that is the prevailing measure of success as an author, becoming the #1 bestseller and selling books. So here are some statistics in terms of what is happening. I'm going to show what Piersanti said. Let me just flash that on the screen. So let's look at some of the stats. Approximately 3 million books are published each year in the US. Now, the US is not the only market. So I did a little research on statista.com, and they provide stats on books worldwide and other stats that you want to know about various things, but just looking at book sales and the condition. It says that the revenue in books worldwide is forecasted to reach 91 billion US dollars in 2024. And it is said that it is anticipated that the book market is going to be growing by, I think, 1.58%. By 2029, the number of readers in the book market is expected to reach about 2.5 billion users. User penetration in book markets is expected to be at about 30.6% in 2024, and the average revenue per user is estimated to be 37 US dollars and 95 cents. When compared globally, the United States is expected to generate the highest revenue, amounting to about 23,400 US dollars per month in 2024. So that's what is happening there. Let me continue with some more slides and stats. All right. So the average new book sales, Piersanti says, in all markets is between, like, say, 300 and 1,000. And he was looking at not just self-publishing, but traditional publishing. All right, so the number of books being produced each year is exploding. According to Bowker, for example, 2.3 million books were self-published in the US in 2021, and approximately 3 million titles, both traditional and self-published titles, come out each year. Words Rated says that it is estimated that between 500 and 1 million new titles are published through traditional publishers. Those are like the big names. And Bowker has given out about 40 million ISBN registration to US publications. And a lot of the books are on majority publications are released, for example, on Amazon and other book selling sites. And they were saying that the marketplace cannot absorb all of these books. So why am I still so passionate about books when you are seeing all of those grim facts? All right. And then we go down to the sales figures as he quoted there. Is it just self-publishers that cannot sell their books, or independent authors? What is happening? When we look at the US, for example, traditional book sales are also shockingly small. Kristen McLean, lead publishing industry analyst for NPD BookScan, recently revealed from BookScan study of print retail sales in the US of new titles by the top 10 publishers. We're talking about Penguin Random House, Simon Schuster, Hachette, Macmillan, John Wiley. They found that 6.7% of new titles released by these companies were selling more than 10,000 copies in their first year. Only 12.3% were selling more than 5,000 copies in their first year. And only 33.9% of those titles were selling more than 1,000 copies in their first year. All right. So what they're saying is that the average book published today is selling less than 300 print copies over its lifetime in the US retail channels. And he said that even if ebook sales, audio sales, sales outside the US and sales outside the retail channels were added in, the average new book published is selling much less than 1,000 copies over its lifetime in all formats and in all markets. Now, if that is the case, it is not going to be easy to make a living with books. Because if, for example, in Jamaica, you sold 1,000 copies of your book and your book is priced at, say, $2,500, you can easily make over $1 million. And so, yes, publishing a book would be profitable, but that's not enough money to live on. And remember, in a previous episode, we talked about what's the average earning. And last week we touched on how authors were making money. So the average new book generates 10,000 to 50,000 in sales. Of course, when that is converted to our currency in the Caribbean, if you're on the higher end, 50,000 US dollars in sales is not bad. Not bad at all. And one of the things you have to be mindful of when you're looking at these statistics is very often they're looking at books with ISBN, and for example, many ebooks do not have ISBN. You can publish your ebook without an ISBN, and many independent authors who publish sometimes just the ebook and they don't use ISBN, so some of the book sales are not recorded in that. But based on my experience, it is what it is. You find that at the book launch in the first couple of months, most times the author will sell 200 copies, and they may in a year sell 500 or 1,000 copies of their books. And so many authors become discouraged. And yet more and more people are publishing books. So what exactly is the value of publishing, since more and more people are publishing books? As I said, shocking book sales facts: big publishers' books, only about 6.7% sell 10,000 copies in a year. So unless you have a large following or you're an influencer, chances of selling 10,000 books is not easy. 2,000 books is not easy. And yet more and more books are being published. And I'm one of them who's encouraging people to publish more books. If you go over to my other brand company, Bamboo Sparks, on the home page, I put on there the value of a book. All right. So is the value of a book only in relation to book sales? I think one of the reasons why people continue to publish books is because despite low sales, although they have high expectations for big sales, is because a book's value is not just in the number of books that are sold. If you look at the word author and authority, they have something in common. And so I've taken out the word author and I'm using that to convey the value of a book, so that we are not discouraged and we understand what is at stake and why we're doing what we're doing, that book sales is only one metric of success. Huge book sales, that is. That even if you're selling the 3,000 to 1,300 to 1,000 book in its lifetime, you can still gain financial freedom with books, and it is still worth publishing, even if perhaps you're not going to sell more than 1,000 books. And you're like, what? Yes, I'm serious. And let me just hop on over to the Bamboo Sparks website to show you that, and I hope you'll be able to see the screen. So there is more to books, winning with books, beyond just book sales. So what happens is that when you become an author, it gives you a sense of authority, or people see you as a kind of authority. It gives you credibility. And what the book does, even if you are not selling more than 1,000 copies, or you only sell 100 or 200 copies, that book, and I'm checking here on my phone to make sure everything is okay, the book gives you a sense of authority. I want to make sure that the slide is showing. It often unlocks doors and gets you into rooms that you would otherwise not get into, just based on your career and that kind of thing. So that's part of the value why people do it, and it's not just about the book sales, right? It's a tool for transformation. So even if you don't sell a lot of books, you can in fact use the book. For example, if you're a Christian, you can use that book for ministry opportunity. It gives you a chance to speak. If you use that book to promote your business, that also it becomes a marketing tool. And so you find that it's easier to get a TV interview, go on a podcast. You can get your message and push your product to the masses, share your story with the world, even if you don't sell a lot of books. The value of the book as well, and I'm talking about in response to low book sales, why we continue to publish, is that the book itself offers help, hope, and healing. And every author has their own network, their reach, their tribe. And the book can be used for that. It can go to places you never will, even if not many sell. And it can be a source of help, hope, and healing, the information that you share. Right? Sometimes the book becomes a textbook, or you create your own course around it, and people are using it. It also is an opportunity for greater impact and increased income, not just from sales. Because if you adopt the entrepreneurial mindset, which is what authorpreneurship is about, you are going to use that book to create special projects and profitable products and services that very often cost more than the book. And so whatever you would have spent on publishing the book, you would make that back easily, maybe from a speaking engagement, maybe from the promotion of your product. And it helps you to build connections and relationships. And of course, it's about legacy. And so for some persons, they may not be deterred by not selling more than 200 books. And depending on how you price the book, remember I said you can still make a lot of money. Maybe not make a living with it, but depending on how you price your book, if you do sell the 500 or the 1,000, it's a good amount of money profit that you can make depending on how you price the book. All right, so we're talking about what's the solution, what's the alternative, all right, to this dilemma of low book sale for the average author. The other, so I was saying there that the value of the book is one solution. I am putting up the wrong slide, but bear with me why you should continue. All right, so That first one is the value of the book beyond book sales. I trust that people are seeing. I'm not picking it up here. All right, is the value of the book beyond book sales. So that's part of the solution why you should continue. The next thing is that if you want to increase book sales, you have to learn book marketing or partner with a company, partner with individuals who understand book marketing and will help you to do that. With that in mind, the Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit, every year since 2021, I have a free online summit. It started out as 3 days, 12 sessions. In the last 2 years, we've just been doing 2 days. It's going to be focused on book marketing secrets, book marketing one-on-one, how you can sell more books, market your books better as a fiction or non-fiction author. So you don't want to miss that. January 24 to 25. And we're going to have one of the world's leading marketing experts on the show that will be on the summit. That will be Dave Chesson, right? So learn book marketing. In the same article, Piersanti gives some tips as to what to do. So whether you get a traditional deal or not, you have to do marketing, right? So you have to develop a brand around your book. The book won't sell itself, so you just can't just publish it and put it up and think that everything is going to be okay. You have to study book marketing, and I'll be, as I said, in January having a summit focused solely on book marketing and what we can do. That's going to be the primary focus. All right. All right. So that's solution number 2. So solution number 1, I said, was there is value to the book beyond selling many books. And that's why we should still continue to do that. The third thing I want to say is a solution to low book sales is understanding what genre sells and writing a genre that sells. So I know many of us, we are writing out of just passion, and we want to leave a legacy. We want to share our story. Nothing is wrong with that. But for the purpose of this podcast, so that you're not disappointed when you're not, become the next Nora Roberts or the next TD Jakes or those people, we need to have realistic expectations. But if you want to sell many books, you have to write in a genre that sells. And the Alliance of Independent Authors did a study, their big data drop, and they shared which genres sell. What are the top 10 selling genres? In other words, you need to know what kind of books sell and the people buying it. And I'm the Caribbean ambassador for the Alliance of Independent Authors. And here are the top 10 selling genres. Romance. And it's not just writing one romance book. There is a movement called 20 books to 50K. There is one 28 books to 100K. If you are going to sell many books and make a living with your book, you have to write more than one book. So the top selling one is romance. The next, so you have to write what they call genre fiction. All right. Fantasy books. This is on the fiction side, right? Mystery, thriller, sci-fi, women's fiction, action and adventure, erotica, Christian, and LGBTQ. Those are the top selling genres. I am glad that on the top one is Christian. So it means that Christian books are selling, Christian authors like myself. There is hope if we write several books, if we're focusing on book sales and want more books, writing to the Christian audience helps. Now, there's a caution there, because if you're a minister and that kind of thing, you might very often sometimes be labeled that you're trying to profit from the gospel and that kind of thing. So you have to handle it delicately, especially if you are preaching teacher, you're a pastor, one of those persons in church. That has to be handled delicately, because the word of God comes first. Free. Although Paul says if you preach the gospel, you should earn from it. You have to be careful that you're not exploiting your congregation. But Christian books sell, all right? And happy for that. So if you want to increase the book sales, look at the genre that sell. And finally, the solution is authorpreneurship. If your books are not selling much, how can you still make a living with books? You have to switch your perspective. Honor Us, founder of the Alliance of Independent Authors, said that before 2011, this word didn't exist. Author and entrepreneur. The standard for making it in the book world had to do with selling books and getting the movie deals and those interviews, and it had to do with becoming a bestseller. And many authors, they don't see themselves as business people, right? So the entrepreneurial mindset means that you're not just going to limit what you do with your book to selling the book. You're going to find entrepreneurs are much like, people who do the startups and the things like that. They have a different mindset. They are creative people, creative entrepreneurs. They're going to create products and services with their books. Now, we're not just saying an entrepreneur author, but as an entrepreneur, it's book-based. So like myself, you take the content of the book and you find other ways to deliver that content, provide the value, and the value is often more than the cost of the book. So the Alliance of Independent Authors has a third category of membership called the Authorpreneur, and I want to promote that. So you have to adopt a business mindset, right? If you're going to make a living with books by becoming an authorpreneur. That's the fourth solution I am proposing in response to low book sales. So today's digital tools and tech are seeing more entrepreneurial authors emerging. That's what Honor Us says, in far greater number. But back in 2011, as I said, that word didn't exist. And so the author entrepreneur is going to take the risk of making a profit with the book beyond book sales. So they call it the book to business model. So the book that you write is going to promote some commercial endeavor, or you're going to turn that book into build some business around that book. And by doing that, you can make a living with your book faster than just the book sales. That's what it's about. And so I trust that insight encourages you to say that book publishing is still worth it, even if you may only sell 1,000 copies of your book in its lifetime, because of the value of a book, because of the opportunity through authorpreneurship, because of the value of a book beyond sales. And if you write in a genre that sells, you will sell more than the average, right? And I shared what the top 10 genres were that are selling, and they have their own audience. And I said that you need to learn book marketing, and that come January, we're going to have a summit on book marketing. When I wrote Authorpreneur Secrets, I wrote this book to change the standard, to change the measure of success. And I know it's a challenge. And I started this live masterclass as well to do that. And in the introduction to this book, I said, for far too long, the prevailing gauge of an author's success rested solely on book sales and the coveted title of being a bestseller. Yet imagine a realm where the triumph of books transcend mere sales figures. This is precisely what authorpreneurship or author entrepreneurship aims to accomplish. And that's what we're trying to do with this broadcast week after week. I know a couple persons joined me live. So if you have any questions or comments, did I share anything that was insightful? Are you discouraged? Are you hopeful as it relates to writing and publishing books? Are you going to publish more books? And if you're interested in starting a publishing business and becoming an authorpreneur and finding ways to creatively market your book and sell more books, get this book, Authorpreneur Secrets. The ebook is for $9.99 and the print book is between $35 and $47. So I trust that I don't see any comments, no questions. I trust that this was another insightful class. A lot of statistics, but sometimes we need to know the facts and the figures so that we can operate with, we can be informed and we can make informed decisions. So still write books. It's still worth it. And if you find the information helpful, join me next week and don't forget to your friends. Ciao for now. Until next time.